What's good, YouTube? It's BadBot Nate, and today we're talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin, book by Kevin Eastman, Peter Laird, and Tom Waltz. So we're gonna theory craft here. I want to go over what it might possibly look like if the other turtles were to take on the leading role in this book. I'm going to assume most of you are familiar with the story, but very briefly, the turtle family got iced, and there's only one survivor. So full spoilers ahead, let's get to it. Now, right off the bat, I just want to start by saying Michelangelo was absolutely the right choice. It's just interesting storytelling. You take the lighthearted character and you put them in a dark situation, or you take the dark character and you put them in a heartwarming, sweet, sentimental storyline. Michelangelo was also the first turtle created, and across a few different versions, Master Splinter has stated that Mikey has the most raw natural talent. So yes, Michelangelo was the best pick for this storyline. Now for my personal pick to take over the Last Ronin storyline would be Donatello. Heavy on the bias, he's my favorite turtle. The IDW storyline, which this seems to be loosely based on, goes into the mystical and far out there science fiction direction sometimes. I could see a storyline where the writers focus a bit more on him trying to bring his brothers back, or maybe recreating his brothers with magic or AI. Or maybe he starts chemically or cybernetically augmenting himself to be stronger. Maybe some failed attempts at time travel. I don't know, the storytelling choice here would be Donatello obsessively trying to use science and or magic to fix the past. Now for Raphael. This one is easy. You could take it in one of two directions, in my opinion. Option 1, you focus on the negative emotions of the character. He lives with his rage, regret, and failure every day, living in the burden and pain of his sadness. And maybe reuniting with April and interacting with her daughter helps him overcome those negative emotions and having a family once again. Being at peace before he confronts Oroku Hiroto. Now for option 2, shortly after the turtles' defeat in the flashbacks, Raph lets go of his rage, puts down his sai, vowing to never fight again. The story is about him being in situations where he is increasingly forced to use weapons and fight, and at the end he accepts that being a warrior is a balance of peace and violence. And then there's the obvious choice, Leonardo. You already know what this is. He's responsible for his brothers, being the leader. I think emotionally this would connect with the readers the quickest. The story would be about Leonardo's greatest failure as a leader, a brother, and a son, and eventually finding himself being in the position to lead a rebellion against Oroku Hiroto. Alright, time for the bonus round. The Last Ronin, Casey Jones. It's interesting to think how Casey would deal with losing his, so to speak, adopted brothers. I think you'd have to kill April off after she gives birth, so it's just Casey and his daughter this whole time. Maybe his daughter is the one that convinces him to fight again. I think Casey would train his daughter, but mostly for self-defense purposes. And I think it'd be very interesting to see him take up that leadership role within the rebellion. And next up, we'll throw in Master Splinter as the Last Ronin. I actually think this would be the saddest. You'd have to include flashback sequences of him teaching his sons how to use their weapons, only for him to have to use their weapons in this twisted future. I also think this would be the most interesting version of Casey Marie Jones' training. I imagine Splinter would be the most hesitant to bring another child into his war. Well, that's it for this video. If you have any opinions on who you think would be the most interesting Last Ronin, let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you for watching the video.